All right, welcome. Ahoy, Tim. It's Friday. We made it. Woohoo! Boy, it's been a hot one here in Texas. I know the weather's been tough all around, but man, I'm looking forward to this weekend when we're supposed to get below 100. It's been rough, but it's Friday night, and it doesn't really matter right now, does it? Hopefully we have a good time tonight. We have a fun topic to talk about. I'm looking forward to sharing it with everyone. Tierney says hot in Oregon as well. Yeah, I think it's hot everywhere. Just crazy, crazy weather. Yeah, the weekend's looking good here. We're supposed to be in the mid to low 90s. It's kind of funny. It's been, for whatever reason, it's been a good couple of weeks where early in the evenings we've had lots of wildlife coming out, and some of it's welcome wildlife and some of it's not, and we do our best to chase off that stuff that's not welcome. But we usually go out a couple of times as the evening starts to progress. And I think we were out at, I think it was like 8 o'clock, maybe 8:30 last night. And we stepped out and we're like, oh my gosh, this feels pretty good. This isn't bad at all. And we pulled up to check the temperature and it was 94 degrees. It's crazy when 94 degrees it doesn't feel bad at all. That's what it's been like around here. So we're getting conditioned one way or another. Nice to see folks streaming in. I've been doing this for almost a year now. I've mentioned we're going to have a 1-year celebration giveaway, whatever you want to call it, here next month. But it's kind of funny. Every week, whenever I set this up, I'm still surprised when people show up. So, so thank you all for being here, especially those folks who show up early, right? Give me a little bit of relief and saying, okay, I'm not going to be talking to myself. Hey, I've done that a lot. Whenever you're just getting started, you do some talking to yourself. There's no doubt about it. My first few streams were sparse, to say the least. But yeah, it's good to see folks streaming in. Thanks to everybody out there that's in green. Those are our channel members. Much appreciated. And thank you, Tim. I've got my headphones on, but I've got them on for a reason tonight. So please remind me again in a few minutes. Let's see. It will be a good experience for the weather in Huntsville. Yeah, I mean, boy, the one thing that is nice is when you're up on the mountain, you get a little bit of relief. So looking forward to that. I'm just looking forward to Huntsville, period, right? It's, I wasn't expecting to be going, but with all the trouble I had getting my passport renewed and whatnot, I've pushed off the Japan trip for 1 year. We've got, I had a bunch of other folks that were planning to go that, for one reason or another, were not able to go. So, pushing that off a year, on one hand, it sucks, but on the other hand, I get to go to Huntsville. So, I'm choosing to have a glass half full. So cheers. It'll be good to see you all in Huntsville. Tim, I'll have to catch you next time in Japan. So let's see here. On the highway. Hey, Bill. Thanks for joining. Yeah, no worries. No worries. Good to have you here in the chat. Let's see here. Yeah, Robert, you do want to go to Huntsville. It is a good time. There's no question about it. It's really one of my favorites. Arnie, welcome. Nice to see you out there. Arnie, you're early. You usually don't stroll in until a little bit later, so welcome. Good to have you here a little bit early. All right, let's see. What else have I got for you guys here to get us started? I guess we can jump into some this and that items. I don't have a ton of this and that items, and this is, for those of you who like to know what the topic is early, if you didn't see it already in the stream description, or if you didn't see it in the X post, we're going to be talking a little bit about the Icom ID-5200. Icom put a price tag on that bad boy. And so not only a price tag, but a shipping window. So that's becoming more and more real. And as such, right, we're kind of headed for this collision course, right? It looks like we're going to have the 750 and the 5200 hitting the shelves in a relatively short period of time relative to one another, that is. So, I think that's going to be interesting to watch. And I'm certainly curious how everyone is feeling about that price tag that was attached. So we're going to dive into that. We're going to talk about, some things that we've learned about that radio, or something I've learned about that radio. If you guys were on last week, you know that we spent some time going through and trying to translate the Japanese manual. Well, I spent a little bit of time on that, a little bit more this week, and I saw something that I either didn't realize, didn't remember, or that didn't stick. And it's kind of a big deal. So I think I would have remembered it. So we're going to talk about that as well. So that'll be our topic, right? We're going to talk about the 5200 and the 750 and the collision course, and kind of the strategy that goes into, putting one of these radios out in the market. It's always interesting to watch who does it well and who doesn't do it so well. I think everyone's probably got some opinions on that, and I'm not going to jump into that specifically. Maybe we will later, but I think it'll be a good topic. But before we get into that, rather, let me jump in. Well, let's do the housekeeping. I always like to do housekeeping first, right? And I especially like to call this out when we've got a channel giveaway coming up, right? And so we're going to do a channel giveaway either right at the end of August or maybe early September. We're going to see how it kind of fits into the schedule. But I've got a radio that's going to be included in that giveaway. It's not an HT, so I'm not going to reveal the radio quite yet, but we have a radio. And, I'm collecting some other items for that giveaway as we speak, so to say. So if you guys want to be in on the giveaway, make sure you sign up on the community list. That's where the winners come from. If you're not on the community list, you can't win here on the channel. So make sure you get signed up. How do you get signed up? You just head right out to this URL, get yourself signed up. I post this just about everywhere as well. You'll see it in video descriptions. I'll post it on occasion on YouTube or in X as well, but that's how you get there. And then real quick, I'll also mention the link tree here. This is where you can find more information about the channel. You can find a bunch of coupon codes. Everyone always likes those. You can also find affiliate links and those types of things if you want to support the channel. That is very much appreciated. So you can find that at the URL right there. All right. And then let's jump into some of the topics I have for tonight. This one's pretty interesting. I don't know if you guys have seen this yet, but the WRTC, who, what was it, just a week or so ago, announced their first, second, and third place winners. And they announced, I think, some other winners as well, but everyone always is curious to see who wins that first, second, and third place prize. And here it's, they've come out and said, hey, there's maybe been some discrepancies. And, this is in in this investigation phase. So we don't want to jump to conclusions here, but these guys have seen enough where they've said, hey, we think there's some discrepancies in the logs. And if it's your thing, if you go out there and, check out Reddit and some of the other places where hams like to talk, there's quite a bit of chatter about this. So I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware of it. Again, I'll leave all these links in the description in case you're interested in learning more about it. But, it's interesting, certainly. I mean, you hate to see this kind of fumble potentially, but you do like to see that somebody didn't just try to ignore it or look the other way, and they're going to do an investigation and they're going to make sure they got it right. So that's the good news, right? That's the important part. Let's see here. I see a bunch of new folks that jumped in the chat here. Doc Brad, good to see you. Thanks for joining. Let's see. Yeah, free is always the right price, right? That's a good price. Free is always good. Let's see. Steve, welcome. I see your comment there, Steve. We're going to hold that. We want to talk about that just a little bit later. Let's see. Calgary in the house. Welcome. All right. So yeah, I thought this was pretty interesting. I heard about this and a couple of my other stories here on Amateur Radio Newsline. So this is my my plug for Amateur Radio Newsline. If you guys are not listening to that podcast that they put out, or if you're not keeping an eye on their website, I encourage you to do so. Those guys do a great job. They collect great news stories from all over hamdom. And, they cover a lot of satellite stuff, which is something I'm always excited about. So make sure you guys are watching that webpage or listening to those podcasts. Lots of great news out there. And this is actually another story that I heard about there, but then I dug into this one a little deeper. This one really interested me. And this is an article in the IEEE Spectrum, which always has some interesting, this is another great resource to keep an eye on. If you are looking to bolster your news feed, the IEEE Spectrum is a great resource, and they always have a lot of great stuff out here. But this is interesting here. This has to do with a plane that went down, a Medevac plane that crashed in a area where they do a lot of GPS jamming and signal testing and jamming in New Mexico. And, again, this is preliminary as well, but there's an investigation here, and the concern is that some of this military activity may have caused the issue for this plane, may have caused this problem. Some of the pilot communications were centered around the fact that they lost GPS in the aircraft. And I wish Bill was here. I would love to have his viewpoint on this. I'm going to have to chat with him about this at another point. But, you know, it's interesting to me that I guess like so many other things, these airplanes are so much automated, right? The flying of these airplanes is so much automated that, you know, if it doesn't have GPS, it can go sideways. So you would think that there'd be some fail safes there, and you know, we certainly don't want to speculate or point any fingers, you know, at the pilot or anything like that. This is, you know, there's a lot to be discovered through this, but this is a great article, you know, and this isn't too far off of, you know, the types of things that many hams deal with, not to this extent, right? Not a necessarily a military type of jamming capability, but hey, we've got lots of POTA operators that struggle with, you know, some of these jack wagons that like to go out and cause interference, right? And there's certainly some parallels here. You know, I'm certainly not trying to say that POTA is the same thing as flying a plane, but I think it is interesting, and this is probably a topic that's going to interest some of you folks out there. So check this one out. All right, let's see what else we've got here. I've got a couple of conferences that I just want to highlight that are coming up here. And this is a fresh update on this conference. This is the Zero Retries Digital Conference, and I believe this is in conjunction or aligned with Pacificon. So these guys are calling for papers, right? They're looking for people that are doing cool stuff with radio, and they've got a call for papers. And, you know, hey, I know in our audience, we've got a lot of people that do some cool stuff. So I wanted to highlight this. Again, I'll drop this in the show description. If you're in the California area, certainly go check this out. Let's see here. Let me try to get, San Ramon, California. And it's held on the same Friday as the first day of Pacificon. So you can get a twofer there. So something pretty interesting here. If you guys are working on some cool stuff, you may want to share that in the form of a presentation or a paper. You don't have to attend to submit something for consideration too. So if you've done a paper or you're working on a paper, that's, they're looking for all of those types of submissions. So pretty cool stuff. So check that one out if that interests you. The other thing I want to just point out here, and this one's a couple of months away, but hey, if, we want to highlight them now so people can make plans if this is something they're interested in. This is AMSAT's annual Space Symposium and annual membership meeting. So they moved this around a little bit. It was in Arizona last year. This year it's going to be in Jacksonville, Florida. So they've got some information here about that. I may try to squeeze this in this year. This is in early October. I don't think I've got anything cooking right now in this window. Now I've got some stuff going on later in the month, but I might try to get this one on my calendar. Last year I was able to watch some of the live streaming, right? So there is a remote attendees capability there. Lots of good information there. You guys may recall we talked about some of that information that was presented in the streaming sessions here on the show. But I just wanted to make you guys aware this is coming up, right? So this might be something that you're interested in, and might be something you can fit on your calendar, right? We have one on the West Coast, one on the East Coast. All right. Let's see here. What else have I got for you guys? I do want to mention, I did put out a little more information about Reflect Orbital and their activities. And this is really an extension or a companion to our discussion last week. So there's also a lot of references here, right? These are a lot of the references I used in preparing the information for the show and for the article. So if that was a topic that interests you, go check this out. It's a free article. Anyone can view it. All right. Yeah, Wes, I think that would be pretty cool in person as well. I'm really going to try to fit that in. And good to see you, Wes. I haven't seen you out there in a little while, so it's great to have you on the stream. Welcome, buddy. All right, let's see. Just a few more items. Give you guys an update on our three little beauties here running around the ranch. These guys are just hanging out outside the barn. You know, I've mentioned it before. We feed a pile of deer that come in every evening by the barn. When we put the goats up for the night, we always feed those deer that come in, and this is one of our favorite groups right here. There's one little skinny mama. We always try to feed her a little extra. We have one little skinny mama that's got 3 fawns, and they are adorable. And you know, in contrast to that, I wanted to share this with you guys. We've started to bring some of our big dogs into the house. Now, these guys have never been in the house. Now we've brought Lucy into the house a little bit earlier, and then we've started bringing her brother Telford into the house on these really hot days. It's, you know, these are big dogs, and these guys, you know, for the last 7-8 years, they've just toughed it out. But as they get older, we're starting to bring them in. Well, one of the things they're just not used to yet is the television, and they heard some sirens on the TV. So that's the contrast to this nice serene scape here, right? You've got these crazy wild dogs. It's fun having them in the house, though. All right. Let's see here. So the Icom ID-5200, $999.99. Wow. I don't know how. I'm curious, how are you guys feeling about this price? First of all, it's a big price tag, right? For a 2-meter, 70-centimeter radio. I think, you know, we were all kind of expecting something like this, but I'm curious how you guys feel about that price tag. I've got a few polls here as well. We're gonna drop some polls out, and I'm curious. Let me see if I can do this. This is always kind of always a little wild here, trying to do this by myself. Let's see, where do I want this? Okay, right here. All right, here we go. Now let me drop a poll out here. We're going to let this one run for a little while. Let's see, I got to remember how to do the poll. I haven't done a poll in a while. Let's see here. I think I can do it right here. Let's see. Start a poll. Here we go. All right, let me get my text here. So, first of all, we've got, I guess before we get into the poll, let's chat just a little bit here. So we've got the 5200, right, that dropped at $1,000, just under $1,000. Right now, I just put a video out on this as well. I just dropped it a couple hours ago. And really the idea behind this video is, besides recognizing that, both of these radios are going to be available likely within weeks of one another. If people don't have a strong feeling one way or another, but they're interested in one of these radios, right, they're going to need some help trying to understand which one fits their needs better. So that's one purpose of the video. The other angle of the video that I thought was pretty fun to explore is, Icom set this price at $1,000, and I think it was a crafty move, right? First of all, and we see this with a lot of different retailers, right? Whether it's a $99.99 or a $999.99. Heck, we see it at the gas station, right? In the way that they price gas, right? This has a psychological effect. And they've really kind of set the standard for a flagship VHF, UHF radio. And they've set it at just under $1,000. And so it feels like that puts Kenwood on their heels, right? What are they going to do? Are they going to, if they come out much higher than that, there's a good chance they're going to lose some wallet share, right? If they come in at that same price, they maybe steal a bunch of sales that may have otherwise been Icom sales. Now, the other interesting aspect here is, what if they come in at their higher price, but they come in first, right? I think they also steal some sales. So it'll be really interesting. Icom has said that this is going to be on the shelves in September. Kenwood has said that their radio is going to be available in Q3. Now, I don't know that we can take Kenwood at their word in terms of this radio at this point or not, right? We've heard so many different dates come and go, and this issue, that issue. Who knows if we're going to see it in Q3. But if they do drop it in Q3, it'll be interesting to see what they're going to do. All right, let me see here. I see lots of chatter here. So let me see what we've got here. Too many nines. Arnie, that does, I think that's going to be a lot of people's sentiment, right? Just too many nines. Let's see. What I'm trying to remember, I think when the flagship Yaesu came out, I think it was like $800, right? So I think it was like was that like $849? I don't recall. Maybe we'll look that up later. But that was also a couple of years ago. And so, I think we were all kind of expecting something in this, close to $1,000 range. Steve, that's, again, I think a lot of people are going to feel this way. I got to see if if my comment thing's working. It's kind of working. You know, it's, I think a lot of people are going to sit on the sidelines for a bit and wait and see what happens here. Let me see here. Grayman thinks it's a sub $1,000 radio regardless. Now, the other thing too that my mind goes to is when Kenwood dropped the D74, right? That first iteration of that radio. That was, gosh, I think that was $799 for an HT. And now, you know, everybody, well, not everybody, right? Almost, I don't know that Yaesu's got a $600, $700 HT, but Icom has one, Kenwood has one, and I haven't looked at the prices of the Yaesu's, but, you know, that's an expensive HT. And if people are going to spend that for an HT, they're likely going to spend this for a mobile, especially when it's a really feature-rich mobile, right? I mean, APRS, that's a big deal. What else did we get here? Full duplex, that's a big deal, right? You got crossband repeat. And they've also kind of borrowed the interface, right, of the 705, which a lot of people love that radio. Right, and you can certainly see the lineage there with all of the more contemporary ICOM radios. So there's a lot to like on that radio for sure. Tim thinks it'll maybe drop to the 700s. Yeah, maybe it will. Maybe it will. I don't know that it's going to drop that far for a while, though. Yeah, it's the principle. You know, I think a lot of people are gonna feel that way too, right? Now, right, the other thing we did learn about that radio is they are going to provide a bracket for the head unit, but there's not a bracket for the RF deck. Yes, Wes, a TNC. And we're going to chat about that a little bit more as we get into this, certainly. And it's nice that you can use Bluetooth with it. And Arnie, so it's ICOM did reveal that they are going to support APRS. It does have a Bluetooth and USB-C capable TNC, and they are going to be supporting APRS in a firmware revision. Now, that's what they said back in May. Who knows if they'll be able to ship that with the radio or if it'll follow, but they have committed to supporting APRS with this radio. It does not have SSB, Chris. No SSB. Yeah, you know, the ability to do to interface this with external apps is going to be huge for sure, especially in a mobile, right? I know I certainly have an interest in interfacing this with a tablet. And yes, it's got a 4.3 inch display, but I would much rather interface this with a 10-inch tablet that's in my mobile and be able to take advantage of that greater real estate and some of the other apps that we all like. Let's see. Ditch the D-Star. Yeah, it's, you know, it's interesting. I mean, you know that D-Star adds to the price. And look, the Kenwood's got D-Star too. But, you know, there are some aspects. We say ditch the D-Star. But there are some aspects of both of those radios that I believe are part of the D-Star stack that I rather enjoy and I think are some of the best features in the Icom and Kenwood radios, and that is the near repeater search function. That you only get that in a D-Star radio, and yes, it can do it for D-Star, but it can do it for just regular analog repeaters as well. And I think that is, I mean, that's a fantastic capability in both of these radios. I really love that, being able to, you know, show up in some new location and do that near repeater search and have all of the repeaters in that area all ready to go in your mobile or in your HT. I really like that feature. Yeah, I think you're right, Jody. You know, I've heard that as well, that Japan really loves D-Star. Now, the other thing that's interesting, right? The other flip side of that is I've always heard that Japan really loves DPRS as well. But, you know, here we've got a diversion from that. So who knows? That'll be interesting. Dumpstar. You know, in terms of those digital voice modes, I mean, for me, it's all about All-Star Link, right? I think that's just the best solution out there, right? It doesn't matter what radio you have. The audio sounds great. I think it's difficult for any of those proprietary digital solutions to compete from a feature set perspective and just a pure performance perspective with All-Star. Yep. Okay, so we know that the 5200 is going to be out there at $1,000. We know it's going to be in September. We don't have a price tag for the Kenwood yet. Now, let's talk a little bit about some of the key differences between these two radios, because, of course, one of the questions I want to put in the poll is, if you're interested, which way are you leaning, right? And, you know, what you get with that Kenwood that you don't get anywhere else is 1.25 meter, right? You get 220 megahertz. None of the big three, no other of the big three are into 220. So that could be a key differentiator for folks, right? If people want that 220, there's only one place to get it, in a multiband mobile, unless you're going Chinese, right? So that's a big change, right? Now that we have APRS, that used to be another big differentiator, but that gap has now narrowed. But here's where the rub is. Here's where there's a little detail that I had not heard before. I had not heard anyone talk about this before, and I really believe if I would have heard it, it would have stuck. And that is that the TNC in the Icom is only 1200 baud. It is 1200 only, and it does not do 9600. Of course, the Kenwood does do 9600. So, is that a big deal for folks? Maybe. You know, you're going to be able to do your APRS at 1200, right? I think most of APRS works at 1200 anyway, so there's no issues there. And Tim, if you're asking, is that confirmed? That is in the Japanese advanced manual, right? So that's the nugget that I pulled out of that manual when doing a little bit deeper research on this earlier this week. It is absolutely the case for the Japanese version. Now, is that going to be different for the AE version? I'll bet not. I mean, I'd be glad to eat crow on this one, right? But I don't think it's going to, right? I don't see why you would have that difference in those models. I don't know why you would, why, I just can't even think, and maybe you guys can. Let me know in the chat. I just can't see a world where you're going to have a different chipset or a different architecture, one that supports 1200 and one that supports 9600. I just don't see it. Yeah, that is a great question. Who does APRS better? So, where is this going to be a problem? APRS, standard APRS, no problem at all. I think where you're going to start to maybe see this, WinLink could be, certainly VARA, right? If you intend to do VARA, you want 9600, right? VARA is 9600. So that's a differentiator. For standard WinLink, 1200 I think is fine. If all you're doing is just basic text, I think that's fine. Let's see here. On page 1211 of the JA Advanced Manual, it shows KISS 96 and KISS 12. Now, you have to keep looking here, Tim. It does, you may see a 9600 in the manual. Now, what I saw is 9600 is in the data port. It's not in the wireless TNC, right? It's not the Bluetooth connection. It's in the data port connection. So we'll dig into that. So keep looking there. Keep looking, Gray Man. I think that's what you're going to find there. So, that may be a differentiator for some. Let's see here. What's Arnie got? He says, many D-Star repeaters in Europe are on the IRC DDB network, which is different from the standard. Yeah, I don't know that much about, I really don't know much about D-Star. The first time I had actually used D-Star was, it was a year ago I tried it for the first time. I think it was the first time I ever tried it. I don't think I ever tried it on my own, but I tried it at the demo station that they had in Florida for Hamcation. Let's see. What's Chris saying here? And what's sad is we used to have awesome radios, all band, all mode. Where did those go? Yeah, it's everybody had an all band, all mode radio at one point, right? But that certainly fell out of vogue. Hey, Jeremy, welcome. Let's see. Interesting. The FCC exhibits list for the 5200 approval show the English manual will be available November 20th. Yeah, we talked about that last week. That was by request of Icom. Whenever they submit radios for certification, they can request a moratorium on certain aspects of their submission. And ICOM did that with a number of their artifacts, where we saw that Kenwood did not do that when they were certified back in January. All right, let's see if I can get a poll here. So we've shared a bunch of information. We've chewed on this a little bit here. Let's see if I can get a poll out here. All right, now I'm going to have to, I'm not sure how many answers this is going to let me put in here. I think it lets me add 4, but we're going to see. Now, this is assuming, of course, that you're interested in one of these radios. I'm just building up the poll here. I've got all my questions ready. You still have to build them up. It'd be nice if you could preload these, and maybe you can. I just don't know how to do it. And if any of you guys saw my video, I'll be curious to see what you think of the last option here. All right, let's see. This is getting posted. So as this gets ready to post, here it is. So assuming you're interested in one of these radios, which way are you leaning? Are you leaning toward the ICOM, the Kenwood? Are you going to wait and see how things shake out? Or are you maybe interested in both? And that's one of the things that I talked about just a little bit in my video. You know, it used to be, there we go. It used to be that, you know, having one radio in your vehicle was enough, right? But in the way that we operate today and all the various modes we have access to, you know, having more than one radio is, it's not uncommon. I wouldn't say it's the majority. Maybe I'm wrong though. You know, I know a lot of folks that have one radio in their vehicle. I know some folks that have more than one radio. And I'm talking more than one UHF VHF, right? You know, folks may have one HF, one UHF VHF, but how many people have more than one 2 meter, 70 centimeter radio in their rig? All right, let's see here. This is looking a little weird for me. I haven't done one of these for a while, but it's not looking right for me. I'm only seeing the waiting or undecided. I don't know why that is. I'm not seeing the full thing here. Tim says, I'm talking about ham radio 2.0 KC5HWB. I think he's got like 4 radios in his truck, right? He's got the full mobile command center. But you know, I love the fact that these are full duplex radios. I would love to have one set up to work satellite passes mobile whenever I want to, right? But I also want to be able to monitor local repeaters and 5.2, and maybe I want to have my All-Star Link node fired up as well, right? When you start adding all these different modes and all these different capabilities, all of a sudden, you don't have enough radio. Chris says, sometimes I have my radio in my car, sometimes I don't. You know, I know a few folks that do like a bag radio situation, right? Kind of like the bag cell phones back in the day, where they, you know, in and out of the vehicle. Let's see here. Yeah, I do not know why. You guys will have to tell me how the poll's doing. I'm only seeing one item on the poll, and maybe it's just showing me the one that's winning. It's really weird. I don't recall it working like this before. Let's see. We're going to let that run just a little bit here before we jump into another poll. All right, let's see. Wes has got an FTM 400 in the truck. You know, that I've never owned that radio, but it sure sounds like people who have had it love that radio, even more than the newer versions of that radio. The 5200 is winning. Interesting. Yeah, maybe whenever I close the poll, it'll show the full results, but I'm not able to see the full results here. That's kind of interesting. I know in the past when I've run polls, it's let me see them. Let's see. 2 400s on the dash is 4 frequencies at once. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Rockets and Radio says, I love the 400 and I don't even own one. Yeah, that seems to be a popular sentiment. My understanding is that is the best implementation of APRS in a Yaesu radio. Let's see, Morgan, how you doing? Nice to see you. Yeah, all I'm seeing is the weighting undecided at 65%. Let's see, James, welcome. Good to see you out there. I really want to put the 2730 and the 706 in the truck with the N7600 I already have in there. You know, that N7600 is a great little radio. I think a lot of people are having a really good time with that radio, and at the price point, it's hard to argue with, certainly. Anyone want to trade an 857 for a 400? We'll see if you get any takers there, Tim. The APRS is good, but not as good as the Kenwood. Well, you know what? I'll give my opinion. You know, I believe Kenwood is the gold standard in terms of APRS, right? Their implementation, in my experience, is the best. That's just the way I feel about it. Let's see. Arnie's got a good point. If you have several FM transceivers in your car, one should be a simplex repeater. You know, it's all of these kind of higher end flagship models, they do crossband repeat. Which is a nice feature to have. I think that's a great feature to have in your mobile. Let's see here. Lucas Webster got an N7600 and an Elk to work satellites. Been using it more and more every day. Nice. Very nice. All right. Well, let's see here. From what I can see, things have kind of stabilized. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this poll. and I am hoping it'll show me the full results. All right, here we go. And so we got 65% is leading the way here, is waiting or undecided. But for folks that are ready to buy, 18% for Icom, 13% for Kenwood, and there's a 4% in there that's looking for both. Gosh, you know what? I kind of want both of them. I know that's kind of crazy, but I absolutely love Kenwood mobiles, right? That TM-D710G is one of my all-time favorite radios. Love that radio. And, you know, having a contemporary version of that is just, it's hard to pass up. Now, it will be interesting to see what that price tag comes in at. But I really, really like the idea of that radio. And when I look at the 5200, there's a lot that I like about that radio as well. And, you know, I'm a huge fan of the 2730. You know, and I know this is a step beyond, right? The 2730 is an analog only radio. This is a digital radio. The 5200 is a digital radio. But I like the design of it. I really like the design of it. So I am probably just going to bite the bullet when they come out and install them both. Andy, welcome, Andy. Nice to have you here. Grayman says he's a card-carrying member of the FTM 400 crew. He loves that radio. I've heard him talk about that. He's had his installed for 8 years, 3 different vehicles. It's time to retire the radio. I don't know. Sounds like there's a market for it out there if you're actually willing to part with it. That's the other thing, right? The seller's remorse that I have seen attached to people who have sold that 400 is real. It seems like many people have scars from selling that radio. Tim, you forgot to remind me to take my headset off after the dogs. Let's see. Hey, Jason. Welcome. I don't know if you heard us talking. We were talking a little bit about having multiple radios in your vehicle. And Grayman pointed out that that you're certainly in that camp. I was saying, yeah, he's got more than just a couple of radios. He's got the ultimate command center in his truck. I love that setup. All right, let's see. Oh, wow, look at that, James. A C4 FM fan. Well, you know, there has to be a few of those people out there. I mean, they sell a lot of those radios. You'd think there's got to be a few of those fans out there. James looks like he's got that 400 buyer's remorse. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people crying their beer over selling their 400. All right, well, let's see if we can get another poll going here. Let's see if I've got something else that will be a good poll for us here. I've got a bunch of different questions. What do I do with it, though? Let's see. Here it is. Let me drag this over here. Gosh, easier said than done. Some of these screens, it's hard to find a place to grab them. All right, let's get another poll going. All right, let's see here. So this one here is what is most important to you in terms of making your decision, right? So what makes the deal for you? What's the deal maker for you, right? What helps you choose between these two radios? And, you know, one other thing we haven't really talked about too much, but I'm going to add it in this poll, is these have very different UIs, right? So the Icom is very much a touchscreen type of interface, where the Kenwood is more of that tactile type of interface, right? With what they call soft buttons. You know, and I think that's that can be a big differentiator for folks. You know, there's something about, especially in a mobile, I believe, there's something about being able to operate the radio. I mean, I know, like, certainly from early on in my youth, with all the various cars and whatnot that I had growing up, you know, you would learn how to operate your AM FM cassette or 8-track. Yeah, I had an 8-track player at one point. But you learn to operate your stereo by touch, by feel, right? You keep your eyes on the road. You could reach down, you could grab the VFO, right? You could grab the volume knob. You could work your fingers across the presets. You could operate that thing by touch. You didn't have to look at it. Well, you can do that a little bit with the Icom, right? I like that they've got separate controls for separate bands, but a lot of what you do with the Icom is through touch. And that's rather difficult to do with your eyes on the road. But the Kenwood still gives you that ability to operate the radio by touch. So I'm curious how that plays into the way you guys think about spending, you know, big money on one of these top tier radios. All right, let's see here. Yeah, so Tim's thinking better of getting rid of the 400, move it to a different mission, maybe put something a little more updated in the rig. That makes sense. Let's see what else. James, I bought an FT991A to avoid the overpriced 510. Interesting strategy there. Let's see. A flat, large layout seems to be highly sought after. Yeah, I mean, again, I like the layout of the Icom, but I do worry a little bit about operating it. It just doesn't seem like it's going to be maybe as convenient when you're actually driving. Right? Now you can get used to just about anything, right? So is it a big deal? Yeah, maybe, maybe not, right? You can get used to just about anything. But it's a big difference. And for some people, I think it's a deal breaker or a deal maker, however you want to look at it. Oh, let's see here. How long do you think it will be until there are AI robot neck controllers? Arnie, I wouldn't be surprised if we see them before the end of the year. Right? I mean, if you think about it, that doesn't sound like a very difficult task for AI to handle, right? James with the 7100 in his truck. All mode, all band. Hard to beat that. Radio by Braille. That's right. 45. I remember, so I had much like Tim moved his radio through 3 different vehicles. When you're younger and you're driving, some pretty low-end vehicles, right? I mean, a lot of my vehicles, I think I had 4 vehicles before I spent over $1,000 on one. And the thing that you did is you moved your radio from vehicle to vehicle, right? I mean, I had spent just as much on my radio as I did on my car back in those days. And I had a Sony cassette deck that I just absolutely loved. And I don't believe it was Braille 45, but it had, kind of like your keyboard, how, in your home row for your index fingers, there's those little nubs. There were certain landing zones on that tape deck that had either 1 or 2 little bumps on them, and that was part of how you learn to manipulate that. So certainly. Let's see. Rockets and Radios thinks the 500-510 head is just too large overall. Yeah, if you're going to try to use it for a man pack, I would agree. Let's see. Good call right there. Good call, Tim. Big difference between these radios, or a difference. It might be a big differentiator for some. The Kenwood has a front-firing speaker in the head, where that's not the case with the Icom, right? So you reduce your clutter from a cabling perspective. You don't have to have external speakers. It's a little cleaner install. That may be a differentiator for some, right? That might help somebody pick one over the other. All right, let's see here. How's our poll doing? Is it kind of stabilized? We'll give it just another minute, and then we'll go ahead and move on. Let me see what else I've got here. I want to make sure. I almost forgot about that. The speaker in the head. I've got some notes here. Let me refer to my notes and make sure I didn't miss something. I've got the next poll. Let's see. Oh, you know what? One other thing that I think is pretty interesting and was a pretty smart move on Kenwood's part. And I've talked about this before, so you guys may recall, right? If we look at the Kenwood, this is the D710G. On the back of that radio, it's got a clip that here I've got the desk stand for it here. they put this very same clip on the back of the 750, which I think is brilliant, right? So now, at least it looks like it. Making a little bit of an assumption, but I think it's a good assumption. So if you are replacing a 710G, you can pop that head off of your installed base and pop the 750 right in its place. I think that was pretty smart. Let's see here. Wes, yeah, another very good topic. Mic in the head. I mounted the head of an Icom 2730 on the dash and connected the mic to the head. The cable dangled in front of the touchscreen of my vehicle as you're driving down the road. Yeah, that is, you know, you have people that really like being able to plug the head or the mic into the head. You have other people that would rather not, and I think that is likely based on your actual install in your vehicle. Let's see. Low Mesh Official. Stavros, did you get a new handle out there? Hank says, I also think the same on the 480. I missed. Also the same on the 480. I'm not following that, Hank. What's the 480? You have to give me a little more context there. All right, I think, ooh, yeah, I've seen the price thing move around a little bit. It's, oh, the mount, okay. I think we've kind of stabilized here. So let's go ahead and end this poll. See how we did. So what's the biggest deal maker? Price, 50%. Touchscreen UI, 20% or 19%. Tactile UI, 19%. I love it. Split right down the middle. And then 12% say they want that 220 megahertz. Only 26 votes. How many people we got watching here? We got almost 50 people. We're only getting 50% of the people are playing along. Come on, folks, play along. All right, this one here is going to be a little bit more of a fun question. And I'm typing this one in just off the top of my head. All right, this will be a quick one here. I bet you we get better participation in this one. All right, coming at you. Who is more likely to meet their delivery commitment? Icom, Kenwood, or neither? Let's see what kind of participation we get here. What did we get in the first poll? Let me scroll up. I want to see if that poll's still up there. It is. We got 23 votes. All right, let's see what we get out of this one. All right, let's see. Jason says, I watched a couple unboxing videos of the 5200 from some Japanese tubers. Doesn't look like it comes with a cable to actually route the mic to the body. Interesting. Interesting. I'm going to have to go look those up. I haven't seen those yet. But that's interesting. And it's great to see that, you know, if those are shipping, I think we've just got our answer. Now, what's really interesting here, right? If they're cranking out those, the D versions and the straight 52 TM-D750 version, which is the low power Japanese version. If they're already cranking those out, why are they making us wait until September? Let's see. Wes says, seems like the radio makers are missing the mark for mobile radios. A CarPlay or Android Auto companion app would be great. You know what, Wes? I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Chinese manufacturer do that before we see a Japanese manufacturer do that. What do you guys think? Jeremy, Kenwood committed? That kind of says it all right there, doesn't it? Let's see. Mr. Tube. Oh, geez. I got... Hey, Mike. That's funny. Sorry, buddy. I saw Jason in there earlier. I said, or maybe I didn't. I just assumed. I haven't seen you out there in the chat for a while. Welcome, man. Sorry about that. That's funny. I think I've been called worse. That's too funny. Well, now you know how Josh feels about it, I guess. Let's see. You were here last week too. Gosh, I missed you. Well, it's been a while since I've seen you. Hoping, gosh, it's been since May, I think, since Hamvention, right? So I'm sure we'll get the chance to catch up at Huntsville. So looking forward to that. At the very end. Gotcha. All right, let's see here. I'm going to let that poll run just a little bit longer. Come on, folks. Get your votes in. I don't think that Mike's been a wallflower ever in his life. Yes, sir. Have some whiskey or 10. That sounds very plausible. That sounds very plausible. All right, I still see that bar moving around a little bit. I saw it jump up to 73, then down to 71, then back up to 73. So we got some people that are still on the fence. Let's see, an IC5200 Japan price corresponds to $760 US. Interesting. So no shipping or no international shipping, no tariffs. But your point's a good one, right? I mean, is there $250 worth of shipping and tariffs in there? I don't think so. Let's see. What's Jeremy got cooking here? If it's an open TNC, Bluetooth and or Wi-Fi connection, then you can control the integration level to your desire. Yeah, it's supposed to be a Bluetooth accessible or USB-C accessible TNC. But all this stuff is, we're taking some liberties here, right, until we actually see one of these things, get our hands on one of these things. If only the Icom did 220. How you doing, Robert? Yeah, Yes, right? There is a true ham sentiment right there. We want all the things all the time. Let's see. Wes says the good Lord only made a few perfect heads. The rest he covered with hair. I resemble that remark. All right, let's see. That 1K price is dealers making bank on the first adopters. It'll come down. You know, I'm sure it will come down, right? We've seen it time and time again. It always comes down. The question is how quickly does it come down? And, this is another place where being first really helps, right? Again, if ICOM is first and they're under $1,000, let's say Kenwood is Kenwood and they miss Q3 and they deliver in Q4. Let's say they deliver in time for Christmas. So they come out, they're going to do their thing. I believe, I could be wrong, I believe they're going to come in higher than $1,000. I think they're going to be at least $1,200. I wouldn't be surprised if they're a little bit more. I hope I'm wrong. But let's say they do come in at $1,200 or so, and let's say that isn't until December. That's a great point in time for ICOM to drop theirs by $100. But if there's already a $200 difference, maybe they don't even have to, right? Maybe that $200 difference just allows them to capture all those people who were sitting on the sidelines waiting to see what the price was going to be. But boy, just imagine, right? If they drop it another $100 at that point, now they're stealing some more, right? I think, getting your price under $1,000, getting it to market first, they're in the catbird seat. Tim, you are right. Ray understands the benefit of speculation. Absolutely. Let's see, Tim's on this hill. He's not leaving it. The price isn't justified. A TNC and D-Star isn't worth it. You can buy an external TNC, one that is really buying this for the D-Star. The one is really buying this for the D-Star. It's nice though, just not to have, right? Just to reduce the clutter. There's a lot of benefit in my book to just reduce the clutter. Just reduce the wires, reduce the clutter. Can you hook up a external TNC? Can you put a sound card on it? Absolutely. You can do all those things. But, it's nice not to have to do that. Tim thinks that the 750 is going to be 1,200 minimum as well. The Tux programmer, excited to see you at Huntsville Hamfest. Do you have Meshtastic details? You know what? I am going. So the short answer is no. The long answer is I will put something out this weekend. So I'll certainly put something out there. I hadn't considered it or really thought about it because we had seen Meshtastic creating firmware for the big ham fests. So I kind of got out of the habit of it. When they started generating their own, when they started generating the event firmware, I just kind of got out of the habit of it. But I don't know that this is on their radar to create a firmware for it, especially because, you've got DEF CON, right? That I think was their focus here. So yes, I will put something out this weekend. All right, let's see. Okay, I think, oh, look at this. Interesting. I've been yapping away and I'm seeing this percentage drop considerably. We were in the 70s. Now we're down to 60s. Interesting. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, I agree. It'd be nice to see Huntsville get its own firmware, but in lieu of that, I'll put out a QR code. I'll probably do it tomorrow, just so folks have plenty of time. All right. Let's go ahead and see where this ends. And like I said, I wonder if this was a change. I'm guessing so. I don't know if Mike, I don't know if you do. I don't think you do a lot of polls, but it used to be that would show me all of the answers, not just the leading answer. I wonder if that's just a change that they've implemented here. So let's go ahead and put the stop on this one. Let's end the poll. Let's see where we're at. Who's likely to actually meet their delivery commitment? Icom, 61%. Neither, 33%, and 6. Whoo! We've got some folks out there. We got 6%, 33 votes. There we go. We're getting a little better. Let's see how many folks. We have 54 people out there. Come on now. We do these polls because they're fun. We had 33 votes on that one. So 61% of the people feel that Icom will deliver their radio in September when they said they will. 6% of the people said Kenwood is going to meet their Q3 goal. And 33% say neither. Excellent. All right, let's see. Ziggy, welcome. Nice to see you out there. Let me see if I've got, let me see what else I've got here poll-wise, and if anything here looks like. Gosh, that thing is hard to grab. All right, let me see here. What other poll do I have here that will be fun? All right. This is pretty good. I'm curious here. We've got a lot of people that think that Kenwood's going to be an expensive radio. Now, I'll have to go back because I had done a poll like this several months ago. Of course, I'm not going to be able to put my hands on it right now. But here's the question. What's the max you'd pay for the Kenwood? We've got a few options for you here. This one will be interesting. All right, here we go. Coming at you. All right, what's the max you would pay for the D750? Is it, would you be willing to pay the $90 or the $999 that the Icom is at? Would you pay a little bit more? $1,099, or are you willing to to spend over $11.99? Or are you just not even interested? Are you just done with it? Won't pay a premium. Whew. Look at that, jumping out to a quick lead. Not paying a premium. Most people are saying this is not a radio for me. All right, let's see here. Tree Fitty. Mr. Tube says he'd like to have an Icom VHF in the car, but he ain't spending $1,000. Yeah, it's spendy. There's no question about it. Hayden twitted, and I'm thinking you're talking about our friend down under. He's predicting that the D750 will be forgotten. The forgotten radio. Let's see here. Free Fitty. Yeah, I think you're right, Jody. I think, pretty much across the board, right, that all the top tier flagship UHF, VHF rigs were kind of in this same ballpark. If you adjusted for inflation, I think that's probably right. I know what the Loch Ness Monster would pay for it. Let's see. Tim says, no mic in the head, it's a deal breaker. All right. Long live the 7250. Touchscreen or buttons? I like that one, Arnie. Yeah, we'll do that one. We'll do that one next. Buy once, cry once. Does all the things, right? That's advice that Josh at Ham Radio Crash Course always gives, and I think it's probably pretty good advice. Is how much should you spend on a radio? As much as you can afford, right? Because if you don't buy a radio that does all the things, and you can afford to buy a radio that does all the things, you're likely going to end up buying that other radio later on. So, I know I fall into that situation, right? Well, I'm thinking back to like my first HF radio. I think the other thing is too, like, I think you have to kind of set your first radio aside, or as you're just getting into the hobby, maybe that first radio doesn't count. Maybe you don't know if you're committed yet. Maybe you don't know if, this is going to be the hobby for you. And so I can see maybe not spending too much on that first radio, right? Until this is something that you're really interested in. But, I guess the flip side of that is ham radio is the craziest thing. Especially if you buy used, these things hold their value for an insane period of time, right? So if you get a fair deal on a rig, any rig, you are likely able to resell that rig at or very near that same price, even 2-3 years later. All right, let's see. Nice. Mike says Gigaparts has the 5200 for $999.95. That's right. You can save them 4 cents. Tonight's impulse buy was a President Bill 3 rig. Can't pass by a good sale. President Bill 3. I don't even know what that is. What the heck is that? Is that a CB you're talking about? What are you talking about there, Jody? I don't know what you're talking about. Hot or not for radios? Oh, too funny. Yeah, I'd say, if you put these two, the ones we've been talking about side by side, the 5200 and the 750, well, first of all, I think they're probably both, if you judge them on their own merits, they're probably both hot. If you compare them, I think that the Icom's probably hotter. I think it just looks better. It's got a bigger screen, right? Which, I think you need for that touch screen interface. Should have went with the Lincoln. Or is it the 10-meter rig? Is that what you were talking about? Is that what you're talking about, Jody? I know the people that make the Lincoln and the President, they have those 10-meter rigs, right? I've never played with one of those, never had one of those. Now I wonder if I should wait for the XO26 for the vehicle. I don't know that you can have enough radios in your vehicle. Let's see. It's a 10-meter. Got it. But it's 411-meter. Got it. Yeah. WM9H says the 500 and the 891 is a pretty tough combo to beat. I'd agree with that. That 891 is a great radio. Certainly. It's been getting kind of long in the tooth for a long time now. But it's still a great radio. Waiting on the radio. That's interesting, right? Because you're probably going to be waiting at least a year. You could have a year of enjoyment out of that new radio while you're waiting for the other one. You could buy that new one, use it for a year, and pretty much sell it for the cost of whatever they're selling that for, or pretty doggone close, when the X26 comes out. Jeremy, I have not seen that at all. I'm going to have to look into that. Videos about an improved 891. Nothing like fan fiction, right? Lucas, he's going old school here. I get that. I've got an 857. I love that radio. It's good radio. Maybe Yaesu will make a slim head FTX without QRP. I don't know. I'm wondering if Yaesu's kind of gun shy right now. After, I don't know. You guys tell me. That thing has been a complete flop from my point of view. I don't know if people feel like it's finding its place or making the turn or not. I don't think I could buy one. All right, folks, get your votes in. Get your votes in. We're going to be wrapping this poll up here pretty quick. Want to give everybody a chance who hasn't voted yet. Robert says, I've been eyeballing the 857 for a while. Yep, that is the problem with that radio, right? That's a unicorn radio that's really hard to find. Well, it's really hard to find at a reasonable price, right? You're going to spend some money for that radio. But, you know, when things like this X26 come out, all of a sudden that radio doesn't look quite as good as it used to. Let's see. Walt loves his FTX. I think it was a huge miss. External GPS, no full duplex. Yeah. I mean, I think it was a huge miss. George just got a Kenwood D750. Good for you. Nice. Good little satellite machine there. Lucas asks, have I done a video on the 599 TX500MP yet? I have not done that yet. I've been playing with it. I've been getting familiar with it. I really like it. I need to do a video on it, but I've not got there yet. Yeah, Robert. I mean, it's kind of crazy, right? I mean, you'll see those things pop up at like close to $1,000. And you see people are buying them. You know, I think in the $700 range is probably, gosh, it's hard to say, a good deal for one of those. Brutal. The XO26 utilizes advanced polar modulation architecture to minimize physical dimensions and reduce overall power consumption. Polar modulation architecture. We might have to dig into that at some point. What is that all about? Hey, Randall, ND9G. Randy, watching from Lowell, Indiana. Well, welcome. Nice to have you here. Make sure you get your vote in. Marketing flim flam. The Flex Aurora architecture. Yep. All right. Let's go ahead and close this up. Let's see how many folks we've got with us here. We've got 48 folks with us. Let's see how many people voted. Here it comes. What's the max you'd pay for a TM-D750? The winner is I won't pay a premium, 69%. 14% will buy it if they match the Icom price. And let's see, up to essentially $1,100 is another 14%. So interesting. So that $1,100 seems to be the ceiling for this crowd. We've got 3% that spend more. But we only had 29 voters. What's going on? We have 20 of you out there just sitting on the sidelines. Let's see. George is saying, I actually heard some people. Let me get you here, George. I actually heard people 3 times this week through the CSN-SAT and the 2730. It was awesome, but it didn't make any contacts. Hearing lots of people. Hey, that's good, right? That's how you start, Certainly whenever people ask me how to get started, I always recommend that they work on their tracking, right? Work on their pointing, work on tracing and tracking the satellite and listening, right? Make sure that you can hear the entire pass before you start worrying about transmitting. The other thing I recommend is that people record those passes, even if they're not transmitting, just so they can get familiar with the cadence and the calls, and they can get a feel for the protocol, right? And it's nice if you have a couple recordings that you can listen to those without standing out in the middle of a field from time to time as well. So good stuff. Don't forget Mac users. Flex hams are like vegetarians and CrossFitters. I think that's all hams, Dell, right? I mean, that just goes with the territory, right? The QMX uses polar modulation. Are we saying Icom stole that technology from QMX? Start a vicious rumor. Elecraft owners never brag. I think they low-key brag, right? I don't think they're overt about it. I think they're low-key braggers. All right. Let's see here. Arnie had a good idea for a poll. And it's about interfaces. So let's put that out there. And we're going to make it specific to mobile radios. Because I think it matters, right? I think it's different. Half Greek geek. Thanks, Jeremy. Let me write that down. That sounds interesting. Half Greek geek. I'll check that out. All right, here you go. Let's see what your interface preference is. Keep it to the interfaces now. Are you a touch UI, a tactile UI, or do you go both ways? Oh, that's interesting. I don't know that I know what polar modulation is. James says it's been around for a long time, especially in AM broadcasting. You know what? I am curious. I'm going to look that up. Maybe we'll look it up together. We'll see if you guys tire of the polls. Yeah, but how many mobile radios are installed in shacks? That's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, I've got one installed here in the shack. I like a mobile radio. Now, I've also got my 9700, but if I didn't have a 9700, and before I had the 9700, the mobile was my was my main UHF VHF radio here in the shack, right? Get you 50 watts. So that's a really good point. But we're talking, right? We're talking specifically about a mobile in this poll. What's your preference in a mobile? Installed in a vehicle, operating in a vehicle, not an RV, right? We're trying to get to the point where if you're driving around, do you have a preference? Brian says, I wish Icom would have used a sound card instead of a TNC, so I could use VARA FM via USB. Now, we're gonna have to get some clarification in here, because if the 5200 only has a 1200 baud TNC, you're not going to want to do VARA. You're not going to want to do VARA at that speed. The 7100 has a touchscreen and makes an awesome mobile rig. You know, it's that's a really polarizing radio, right? It's all mode, all band, which is fantastic, but it's got that funky shape, and that really turns some people off. I've not had one, but and I don't think the shape would turn me off. But certainly that's a polarizing radio. So that 9600, now what I've seen is that 9600, and Grayman saw something different. And, you know, this is where we need Paul. Maybe. I don't know if Paul can read Japanese or not. Right, so Tim and I both, I'm assuming so, Tim, are doing translations of the Japanese manual. And from what I saw, whenever I did the translation that I did, it said that 9600 would work on the data port on the back, but not through the Bluetooth connection or the USB-C connection. So that's the rub. Let's see, Robert says here, depends on how the UI is set up. Icom has done a pretty good job with the UI, but it depends. Oh, that's a cop-out. Come on, Robert, that's a cop-out. Come on. Pick a side. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, you know, the fact that the 7100 can do 2-meter SSB is just fantastic, right? Fantastic. Oh, the other thing too, I was trying to remember, I know that 220 in the 750 is at a reduced power. What is it? Is it 20 watts? 20 watts maybe? I think it's 20 watts. But, and I don't know what it is. What made me think about that is, you know, a lot of times those all mode, all band radios, when they go to SSB or when they go to 70 centimeters, sometimes even, they have a reduced power output. That's the way a lot of those a lot of those rigs were, those older rigs, right? If you guys recall, they had Kenwood had a pair of they had a 2-meter and these were like, small, like 7300 size radios, Icom 7300 size radios. They had a 2-meter all mode radio and a 70 centimeter all mode radio. And then I think they also had a 1.2 all mode radio, but those were always at a reduced wattage. I'm not sure what it is in the 7100. Dell, I heard the 7100s don't hold up well in hot vehicles. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any experience with them. Yeah, that's what I was doing, Brian. I was using a couple different LLMs to do the translation. Dell says, I'm too drunk to be nerdy. Hey, thanks for hanging out, Dell. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next time. All right, let's see. Arnie says, many years ago, I had a 7100 head, a battery and remote rig unit, and a cellular modem in a Pelican case, and had the other remote rig unit at home connected to the internet and the IC 7100 base unit. Fancy. That sounds pretty cool. 2-meter SSB is 50 watts. Cool. Yeah, and I know the HF is 100 watts on that, so that's good. Ron, how you doing, Ron? Nice to see you, buddy. AMSAT Oscar 7 launched in 1974, used polar modulation. No kidding. It was the first described in 1954 by IEEE. It was probably an IEEE spectrum. I'm going to see if I can find that article, Ron. They've got a great archive. All right. Let's see. It looks like Tactile UI is winning out at 46% here. That's all I can see is the leader. Let's give last call so folks can get their vote in. If you haven't voted yet, get with it. Let's go. $56. Let's see if that thing changes at all. Going to give it just another minute and we'll pull the plug on it. I'll tell you what, before we pull the plug on it though, let me see if I've got another interesting one or if we should move on. Everyone loves chatting about this, so that's good. I thought it was an interesting topic, certainly. All right, let's see. I know I had some more. Where do I have those? Oh, I know where I have them. Hold, please. All right, let's see here. I'm just looking. I have a whole bunch of questions here. I'm looking for one that seems to align with our chat, the direction the chat's taken. Oh yeah, this is an interesting one. We've had I think I kind of know how this goes just from how some of our chat has gone tonight, but let's see if I'm right. All right, 44%. So we got a few people that dove in there right at the end. I'm going to go ahead and shut her down. Let's see what we got. We're going to end the poll. What interface style do you prefer in a mobile radio? Tactile UI, 45%. I go both ways, 44%. We have 11% that prefer the touch UI. Interesting. Only 27 votes. We must have a lot of folks that are just listening in and not maybe near a keyboard. I'm going to chalk it up to that. Okay. Here we go. New question. We're going to see what color the chat bleeds. All right, let me switch this up a little bit. Oh, you know what? I better see if it'll let me first. Oh yeah, okay. I'm doing a little, going a little off script here. All right, here we go. Are you a brand loyalist? Right? Are you a fanboy? Let's find out. All right. Hey, Sean, thanks for the poke and the prod there. Nice to see you. Welcome. Let's see. The 9600 Bluetooth thing could go either way. If it's an audio profile only Bluetooth, then no. It'll allow the radio's normal audio path and be limited. If Bluetooth serial port profile is there, then it's a go. We might just have to wait and see. 1952. I see that correction there, Ron. Thank you. I don't know if I can't remember. I'm just going to put that down there just in case that helps me in my search. Hey, Bill, you made it. I'm assuming you've made it to your destination. Sounds like you were out driving about. Well, we got some folks claiming best tool wins. This is an atypical ham radio audience, if that's the case. We know we got lots of fanboys out there. Right? We got lots of fanboys in ham radio. The Broke Ham, howdy, howdy. Welcome. Good to see you. Welcome. Oh, let's see. Went to Dawn's to do some work. Oh, nice. Back to HQ. Now, one thing, Bill, I'm curious. I know whenever the weather gets warm, that usually means a lot of deer are out on the move. Did you see a lot of deer in your travels tonight? It seems like there are just a ton of deer overall here in North Texas. I don't know how everybody else feels about it, but man, we got piles and piles of deer around here. Deer and swine. Yep. I've been doing some damage on the swine front. It's been a good couple weeks. Did not. Good. Glad to hear that. See, Brian says, ICOM has made it easier with the use of a common familiar menu system. Yeah, there's a lot to be said for that, right? There's a lot to be said for that. That's how you build brand loyalty, too. And they'll disappear opening day. Boy, isn't that the truth? They can sense it. They know it. They know it. Let's see. We still have a good crowd here. 46 people. Get your votes in, folks. I want to see if now in my video I was associating Yaesu with red, Icom with blue. Not Yaesu, I'm sorry, Kenwood with red. Because I normally would associate Yaesu with red. I'm wondering how you guys think about those. Yeah, I'm with you, 45. I mean, if I can avoid driving at night these days, unless I'm on a road trip, but, you know, just for running around, I just try to avoid it. I associate Yaesu with free hats. Yeah. Yeah. I think you could add another adjective there. I'll let you guys offer your thoughts. Icom blue, Yaesu gold or silver, Kenwood red. Yep, I can see that. I can see that. I'm thinking of the old standard logo, right? The old Yaesu standard logos that were red. I guess that's why I think of them as red still. I would say that's quite a few. A lot of people. But, you know, the other thing with a Yaesu hat is, you know, it... I'm trying not to be that way. I'm less concerned if I dirty up a Yaesu hat. Probably partly because I've got a whole stack of them. Arnie says, say it. They're just cheaper hats, right? They're just cheaper hats. They're almost disposable hats. That's the adjective I was thinking of. Oh, wait a minute. When did things... Oh, I see Lee's comment there. I saw I saw Ron's comment first, and that caught my attention. That's a great round, Ron. I've got one of those. I don't need that type of range where I'm at, so I use a 300 blackout. It's a great option for the distances I shoot and for my loadout. Bricker says, I just put my Yaesu hat collection all together in my closet. They're very cheap hats. Now, if it was something like a notch hat, then I would wear it everywhere. Icom swag is hard to get. They make you know, they spend a little more money on their swag, I think. All the Icom hats I have are really nice quality. The Icom bags I have are really nice quality. All my Icom swag is pretty decent quality. And then, you know, Kenwood just doesn't have any swag. At least I never see any. Now they've had Kenwood swag comes in the form of a manual. They hand out manuals for swag. The greatest battle implement ever. Took a 30-06. Brian says, I've been playing with my 300 blackout lately. Daniel Defense. Yeah. There's certainly some preferred bullets for that round for pig hunting. Certainly. Some Kenwood pins. Oh, nice. Sure, Hank. I'm trying to think. I don't think I've got any Kenwood pins. I don't think I've got much Kenwood swag at all, if any. Yeah, they just don't give that out. All right, let's see. How we doing here? Let's give this poll just another minute or so. I've had a Kenwood D750 pen for like a year from HRO. Oh, wait a second. Oh, no, that was ICOM. I know I went into an HRO. Gosh, I guess it was... Well, at this point, it was probably... What is this? This is July. It was probably 9 months ago. And I walked out with a real nice koozie. It was kind of a like a crush proof koozie that was co-branded HRO and ICOM. That was nice. Yeah, I don't know that I completely agree. Ham radio, FAFO. I am actually a fan. Now, I'll only do this in the winter months, but I'm a fan of wild hog jerky. That's pretty good. I really enjoy it. I'll smoke it for a little bit first on the smoker, and then I'll put it in the dehydrator to finish it off. But it's quite good. I'm a fan. Anything's good if you put enough sauce on it. Squid jerky, not so much. Paul keeps trying to hook us up with squid jerky, but I don't know, man. I don't know. All right, let's check our poll. Well, you guys can likely see it. I'm going to check the poll. All right, let's see what we got. Are you a brand loyalist? Best tool wins at 98%. 68%. Sorry about that. I flipped it. It's a flipped bit. Team Icom, 16%. Team Kenwood, 8%. Same as Team Yaesu, 8%. Only 25 votes. Very, very interesting. Kenwood and Yaesu are half of what Icom is. In our 25 voter poll. Have you tried cat treats? Yikes. That's right. Cosmic Ray bit flip. You got it, Jody. Jody knew where I was going. All right. Very good. I don't know if I've got any more. Let me check and I'll just see if I've got one more. We've got I guess we're fluctuating here. We got people coming and going. If you guys are hanging out, I'm hanging out. All right, let's see here. Let me check and see if I've got another poll that's interesting here. Well, this one that's kind of the same. That's the other side of the same coin. We're not going to go there. Let's try. This one's kind of an interesting. Let me find it here. Well, I just thought of one that's even better than that. All right. Let me set this one up. All right, so this here is going to be talking about what would it take, or what, I'm trying to think how to phrase this. What mode would cause you to add a second radio? What mode? And I'm gonna use, this isn't gonna be purely modes. But you guys will get the idea. I need one more. Let me think of one more here. Let's just go with, oh yeah, let's go with that. Okay. So what mode would cause you to add a second VHF UHF rig in your ride? Right? Which of these modes do you care about enough that would cause you to put another radio in your ride? Let's see. Iowa Great Lakes. Be at the cookout. Did we switch to Huntsville? We talking Huntsville? Oh yeah, here we go. Are you going for the whole experience and do the Montesano YouTuber cookout? That's a good time. Anybody that's in Montesano or anyone that's in Huntsville is certainly welcome, and you should stop in and say hello and hang out. It's a lot of fun. And it always rains, right? So it usually rains for at least a little while. Feels like every year I've got a short or something that at least captures one downpour while we're at Huntsville. Never lasts long. Hasn't lasted long. All right, let's see. APRS seems to be the lead dog here so far. Make sure you register. That's a good point. I've got let me toss that up here just in case somebody doesn't have it. Let me see if I can find it real quick. We'll give you guys a chance to answer the poll. Oh, I know where I have it. All right. We're almost there. Let's see. No, that one's not it. Oh, I bet it's this one. It is this one. Okay, good deal. There you go. They get nice and big. So in case you are unaware, we're asking folks to sign up for the cookout, right? We're trying to get a good count so we can make sure that there's enough food purchased and we have everybody covered. You can certainly come to the cookout and not eat, but why do that? If you're coming to the cookout, just sign up. It's free. There's an option to give donations, but it's certainly not necessary and it's not required. So if you're in the area, sign up, stop in, check it out. Give them the link. I do know what it is somewhere. I think I have the link here. Let me find it. If anybody knows it, I know I've got it here. Let me just find it real quick. Hey, some people were sending me stuff. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, Jeremy, thanks. I see what you sent me there. Very cool. All right, let me see here. I know Kyle sent me something here. I know he sent me the link. Somewhere. Goodness. All right, thank you, Tim. Send it my way. I'll grab it and we'll post it for folks. You know what? Let me try now. I'm in a private session or else. Oh, you know what? I might be able to do it. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Nope, no dice. I'll keep my eye open until Tim sends it over. All right, let's see. So do you know why the German rocket scientists preferred Montesano? This sounds like a good joke. I do not know, but let's see what Arnie's got for us here. Yeah, I just added Tim actually. It's a cooler temp than Huntsville. Yeah, that's no joke for sure. There we go. Thank you, Tim. All right, let's see. Ooh, looks like we've had a change in leader. All-Star Link appears to be currently in the lead. We've got, we're bouncing back, and it's pretty interesting how quickly some of this stuff flops around. We're currently at between 40 and 45 people watching. I was just going to say 45, then it just went to 40. So hopefully we have close to 40 people who have answered the question. Answer the question. There you go. Gray Man's got all the links for you. Frank Bot. All right, let's see here. We're going to give it just another minute just because I saw it bouncing around a little bit. Watching on 2 devices. Are you voting on both devices? Will it let you vote on 2 devices? Well, thanks for the double views there, Mike. If I actually called you by your name, you might even watch it on more. That's what I do too, Mike. That's usually what I do. I watch it on my TV and then I chat on the phone. Vote early, vote often. Too funny. What time is it here? How are we doing? 11:30. We're doing all right. I have a clear node. So I have All-Star covered. My 7600 does the data duties. He said duty. I just need to figure out how to install the 2730 and the 706. You know, that's something we could do here while we're... This could be fun. All right, so let's look at mounting options for these rigs. Let's see. And I'm going to look for the TM-D750G. Because again, I believe that the mount will work with the new 750. And we'll look at some generic stuff here, and then we'll go look at Lido and is that a Lido there? No, that's from eBay. Three-U rack mount? What? What is this? What are they talking about? Oh, no kidding. It's a blank for your 19-inch rack. That's interesting. Not what we're looking for, but interesting. Let's see what else eBay has for us. So this one's kind of cool. Let's see what this is. Of course, this is just part of the story, but it's sticky. That's what I was curious, what the mounting looks like. It's got a place you can put a screw in there. But, you know, that's what it's all about right there, right? So you can... Looks like this should work for the 750. I don't like the way that mounts, though. All right, so this is Lido-ish. Is this Lido? It is Lido. Let's just go to Lido. Let's just go to Lido. Let me drag my chat back here. Let's see. Yeah, that would be cool for an MCOM rack, Jody, just not what we're looking for here, certainly. The under seat is fully occupied with vents, wires, and seat-related components. What kind of vehicle are you putting it in, Robert? I'm curious. With a ram ball mount? Yeah, I mean, I would think there ought to be something. I was going to go down that road next. Yeah, and the quarter 20 on the Yaesu, or on the Icom. But let's see what we've got here. So we've got a few. I'm not a fan of these. These are just, I mean, sure, it works. It just looks crappy, right? It just doesn't look good. Just not a great look. We can be radio vain, right? We can want it to look good. Yeah, the nice thing, oh, this is kind of Ramball-ish right here. Let's look at the, you guys see what I'm seeing there? Let's see here. Let's see what they say about this. So it uses the AMPS approach. Yep, works with the 710, works with the 480, which somebody had mentioned earlier in the chat. I believe it's going to work with the 750 as well. Now that's interesting. The so this AMPS pattern is also utilized by Icom for the 5200. Right, this this squarish pattern that's called the AMPS pattern, that's also utilized by Icom. So this is a multi-use piece right here, right? And really, if you connect that, you got the ball there. That opens up all kinds of other things, right? You don't have to use this piece down here. You connect this proprietary odd connection here, and then you use that AMPS, and then you can go to something. Oh, you could do something like what? It's bullet point. Right, now that gets you into some different stuff. Now, specifically what I'm looking for is something here. Let's see. This goes to 24, 24. I don't think that's different. Let's look at this. These have a little cubby up on the dash. There it is. Right, so this is nice. This fits down in that little cubby. It uses the stock screws that are in the cubby. Now that's the wrong end of the ball, but I think they have some other options here. Let's see what else they've got here. Oh yeah, there it was. I just zoomed by it. There you go. That guy. DM'd you a link from Bullet Point Mounting Solutions. All right, let's see what you got here, Jody. Is that what we were just looking at? Yeah, very similar. So we were in the same wavelength there. Yep, same wavelength. Yeah, different mount. Yeah, this is the one that fits my truck. It's got this kind of squarish that tapers off. It's the one for this 13-inch screen here. Actually, is that different than this? Wait a minute, what's different here? The AT4, the Denali, and the Denali Ultimate. What's different? So mine's the 2500 HD. It's an SLT, so I think I'm covered here. But I'm trying to see. I guess it just is different. So I'm covered here. There's the other one. Who else? It's not bullet point, but it's like bullet point. I can never remember the name of it. We saw him at More Expo the last couple of years. What in the heck is it called? How'd Reddit get on there? I don't want Reddit on there. Trying to see if Jeremy remembers or if Gray Man remembers. It wasn't bullet point. What was the other? What was the other one? All right, let's see. No, it wasn't RAM mounts. They were at More Expo. We'll just do a generic search. Not ProClabs. Quad lock case, not that one either. Goodness, they're very similar to bullet point. Yeah, bullet point wasn't there. It was track. Track something. You know what the problem is here, don't you? Bing. Bing's the problem. Bing is always the problem. Look at that. See what I'm saying? Bing. Bing sucks. Track form. Don't ever use Bing. All right, let's see here. Let's pick up. Here we go. 13.4 inch screen. Select this dash style. Right, very similar. Right, this one's a little bit different. It just gives you that slot, but you've got all those different mounting options. So I'm thinking, right, if I'm going off the deep end, which I think I am, I'm going to put one. I don't think I can get both of them up here. Maybe I can. I don't think so, though. But maybe. So you got to have this thing. Right? It fits right in there. Gives you a slot. Yeah, I guess maybe I could. If I had have one that's going on this way, and then maybe have another one that comes out this way, I could maybe get them mounted side by side at the height of the dash. Maybe. I've really got to spend some time on my mounting because I've got a tablet I want to mount, and I've got at least 2 radio heads that I want to mount. Now, of course, I can go to the stock. And I think I'll probably need to go to 1 or 2 stocks here. right? And what I'm calling the stock, what they call the mount. And I'm thinking about this LM300 HD. Right, these are the ones that you tap into the seat bolt, gives you a stable base. They really not have any other pictures than that. But what I've got to see is I've got to do some figuring. I got to do some measuring and make sure that this can come up and clear the console. What type of tablet? It is a Panasonic Toughbook tablet. It's an Android Panasonic Toughbook tablet. Jody, you got the track form version. Cool. Have you had good luck with that? Any concerns or problems with it? I mean, they look pretty solid. I mean, they're a chunk of aluminum. As long as they line up, right? As long as, you know, they line up with the mounting holes and all that stuff. A solid mount is priceless. Yeah, for sure. Solid, rock solid mount. Nice. The CNC is great and it fit perfect. Good, good. Yeah, I mean, price-wise, I think they're all kind of similar. Now, what's this? This looks a little different. What's that about? Oh, that's interesting. So, what's this do? Does this give you compatibility with another style? Engineered for seamless fit with matched OEM interior. Yep, we got that. Okay, all metal construction, ultra simple to install, rapid adjustment, Picatinny rail. You gotta love a Picatinny rail. Our salt track. Oh, look at that. That's some branding for you. That's some marketing. Our Assault Track dash brackets are equipped with a mil-spec Picatinny rail, so you can instantly reposition your devices in seconds. All right, tell me more. What are these? Oh, okay, I see they've got little, I don't know if you guys can tell. Let me zoom it in. Oh, son of a gun. What'd you do that for? Oh, it's not going to let me zoom it in. Bugger. All right. We'll try it this way, though. But so it gives you a Picatinny rail, which is a different mounting style. I guess it gives you more mounting options, actually, because you don't lose where the groove is, or not the groove, but the insertion point, right? You don't lose this little insertion point here. But this has a couple thumb screws on it with a slot, so you can tighten it down. Boy, that could be fun. What else could you put on a Picatinny rail? What other kind of cool stuff could you put on a Picatinny rail on the dash of your vehicle? It's got the mind spinning, doesn't it? Need some Picatinny and Picayune? Night vision mounts for the hog hunt. Indeed. Indeed. You know, I did a hog hunt once. I think I may have mentioned this before. Took my brother on a hog hunt for his, I think it was his 40th birthday, I think. And we did a helicopter hog hunt, which was awesome. We did that during the day, but at night we did a blacked out night vision hunt. And so we were in this blacked out Vietnam era Jeep, so no lights at all. We all just have NOS on, and it was the coolest thing, kind of driving in that manner without headlamps, right? And I don't know if you guys have ever worn those, but when you wear them for hours, I mean, we were out for hours. When you wear them for hours, you know, they just kind of become like, you get accustomed to them to where it just, you don't even kind of notice it, right? It's just, it's crazy how accustomed you come to everything just being shades of green and black. But yeah, that was a blast. That was very cool. They shipped me the base plate separate, and then I went with the slim track version. Changing to assault track is just swapping out the top piece. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. I mean, that's just cool. And if that's real Picatinny rail right now, and it looks like it is, I don't know why it wouldn't be. I've got all kinds of stuff I could bolt to that. That's crazy. The Trax Assault Track Picatinny Dash Bracket. Installation hardware. Now, I guess that is going to limit what you can potentially use with their kit, though, right? So let's see. So the assault track, the slim track, where's the price thing? How's this all work? So if you want the assault track, it's $50. Okay, so then here's some phone cradle, MagSafe. Nope. Tablet. Let's see what this looks like. I don't think I'm going to go with this type for my tablet, but that's kind of cool. I see that. Okay. Do they just have, okay, bracket only. That's what I was looking for. Nope, that's not what I was looking for. Phone holder. Okay, what's this? They got some interesting stuff here. So Midland and Cobra mounts. Yeehaw. Let's see. CB radio holder, assault track Picatinny base, 5-inch Duralock arm. Let's see what this is all about. What is this all about? That doesn't look too bad, right? Depending on your mic. Yeah, so this is what I was wondering here. Okay, so you just get these base tracks, then you can use their arm, and then you're in business. Okay. This little holder's kind of cool, though. See, that looks so much better. Looks way, way cooler. Looks way cooler than that. You see what I'm saying? That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right, let's see. Camera or radar detector holder. Get your GoPro up there. Again, you just get your base, get your little 2-inch Duralock arm. Look at that. And then you got your GoPro holder. Yeah. Here's your quarter 20. Boom, right there. You got your Icom mount right there. Right, you can go with the quarter 20. This is what I'm going to get. This is exactly what I'm going to get. I get a dash cam mount as well. That's cool. Magnetic radar detector. That's pretty cool too, right? So you just pull it off there. Don't have to leave it up there. That's cool. Okay, what else do we have here? What other kind of cool stuff do they got? An aux beam switch holder. Sweet. Right, so aux beam, they make all these little very cool switches that you can use for various purposes in your rig. So that's all very cool stuff. Got some GPS mounts. Now, a lot of these mounts will work for other things too, right? That's the other thing to keep in mind. They've got a lot of options. I didn't recall seeing all these different options. It was a pretty crowded table, if you guys recall. They kind of had by manufacturer. They had like different stations set up by manufacturer, and it was tough to get in there. A lot of people were checking this stuff out. But some, you know, this is pretty cheap. This is pretty reasonable. 16 bucks. Get you your ball mount, right? Then you've got to add some sort of extension. You get the length of your extension. Here's a, so I'll probably use a short reach on the one that's closest. Is that the, oh look, they come in colors too. Oh, look at that, accent colors. Boy, you can get fancy. Gray Man Poda, I can see you having some colors like that. I can see that. And then here we could do a long reach on the other side, right? On the passenger side. Pretty cool. Timmy, I can see you putting some blue in there. Is that your, that's not quite your shade of blue, Tim, but orange and purple. I was thinking of trying, I guess your accents are kind of orange, right? The best parts, they come in black, just like my soul. Too funny. I like that blue. I actually kind of like that blue. But it wouldn't work for me. Now, if they had some green, they do have green. That's the wrong color green. How about a forest green? I think black's going to be in my future. Lots of options, though. Very cool. They are orange on the Badlands edition. Got it. All right. Well, I think I've stalled long enough. Let's see what our poll tells us. I think this will be our final poll for the evening. We'll probably look to wrap it up here. We're approaching midnight. What would cause you to add a second UHF VHF rig in your ride? All-Star Link, 45%. I think that makes sense, right? Because you can always have it pinned up all the time. APRS at 28%. I like to see that WinLink at 21%. And there's a few of us out there doing the satellite thing. 29 votes. Look at that. Pretty good. We've got 34 people viewing right now. So that was definitely the highest percentage of respondents. All right, folks, I think we're going to go ahead and shut her down. Well, thank you all for hanging out tonight. It was fun. It was a great topic. I'm excited that we're finally going to get these radios on the shelf so we can get our hands on them. Hopefully, both of these vendors come through and deliver on time. Deliver when they said they're going to deliver. I'm certainly excited for both of these radios. I think they look like great options. I think there's something there for everybody. Hopefully the price does get rationalized a little bit, right? You're always going to pay a premium when they first come out. That's just the way it goes. We all know how the game is played, right? But hey, it's right around the corner. Looks like people can get them under their tree for Christmas. And there's nothing wrong with that. So thanks for hanging out. I appreciate you guys. Hope you have a good weekend. Get out and play some radio. Get out and practice your radio. Get out and do something fun. Watch out for that heat, though. It's the real deal. But take care of yourselves, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks again. 7-3.